So I decided to make a video here of some of the modifications I made to my Glock here recently. One of them is this stippling that I put on the frame here. As you can see, it's not a stick-on or a over-molded tape that'll peel or slip or anything like that. And all I did was I took a wood burner like this one, and with the needle point, and just hit it dot, 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 dot all over until it had this texture to it, and it's really nice. You could cover the whole pistol in KY jelly and still get a pretty good grip on it. And then the other thing I did was I installed a Ghost Evo Elite connector in it with the spring kit that comes with it. And what this kit does is it eliminates the Glock bump in the trigger where it stacks up, and it causes a lot of people to shoot low and left. A lot of people say Glocks shoot low left out of the box, but I say people shoot Glocks low left out of the box. The really nice thing about the Ghost connector is that it allows you to have a really nice trigger, and it doesn't interfere with any of the safeties on the Glock pistol, so you're not going to get any liabilities as far as defensive use or anything like that, because all of your safeties on your pistol are still intact and work. As you can see, the trigger block still works, and the striker plunger still gets engagement, so it'll block the striker until you're actually pulling the trigger. So what this does is, I'll show you here, it gives a surprise break. It's a clean 5 pounds all the way through. This connector, it doesn't lighten the trigger pull, but what it does do is it just makes it more linear, I think is the best way I can put it. Whereas a Glock factory trigger stacks, where you get 1, 2, 3, and then 5 pounds, and you're pulling and pulling. And what happens is, as you try to pull through that, you pull the pistol down and left if you're a right-handed shooter, or down and right if you're a left-handed shooter. So that Ghost connector eliminates that bump. It keeps everything here. I'll keep the trigger back. I'll show you the reset on it. But reset's really crisp. It just a solid click. You hear it, and then you get a surprise break. And then you'll notice that my trigger doesn't come all the way back, and that's because the Evo Elite connector has a trigger stop in it. So that's set by the end user, whoever's installing the kit. But it also has this take up right there, and pardon the focus on my my camera has a issue with really up close here. I'll move it back a little bit. But you need this take up. You can see in the gap in my slide, you can see the bar moving back and forth, disengaging the striker block on that cam. So you have to have that, and then you just have 5 pounds to a surprise break. And so it's a really nice addition to this pistol. I haven't gotten a chance to shoot it, but I'm very pleased in dry firing it that it just completely got rid of that Glock factory, that bump that you have to work through to get the striker to release. So I'll show you how it works. We'll take this pistol down. Let's see if I can get a good angle here on it. Okay, there you go. So you can see the transfer bar moving, and this flat piece right there is the stop. Right there is where it comes to a complete stop. And I'll take this out and show you, but with that that stop, you know, the instructions say to, out of the box, take a 30-second off and then go from there and fit it until it'll dry fire. I ended up having to take a total of 60 thousandths off of it, which is no big deal. But here, we'll take this down. This is a little difficult, taking down a pistol looking through a camera. So we'll punch out our block pin here. And I'll show you some tricks with taking the receiver apart on a Glock if you ever decide to do this. One of my personal tricks is this top pin. Punch that out first. Just pops right out. And the spring for the slide stop is what really captures this lower pin. So the ability to move the slide stop around, this is my trick to get this lower pin out, is while picking up on the slide stop, you just give it some wiggle and that pin comes right out. It makes it really easy. And then we'll take the block, tilting block for the barrel, pop that out, literally, and then we can pull everything right out here. So we'll pull this transfer bar off. And then here is the ghost connector with the stop. Like I said, I had to take about 60 thousandths off of it. And it comes pretty polished. Here's mine that my factory one that I polished up really to almost mirror shine, and that helped make it smooth, but it never took the bump out. So this guide for the connector here, the ramp on the connector, really changes the geometry of this whole thing. Now this spring back here, that came as part of the kit. I ended up replacing the plunger spring for the striker block and the striker spring and the return spring here, and they all work together, so it helps. But as you can see here, the striker catch on that guy comes up, grabs the striker, and then as you pull the trigger down, that ramp drops the catch and releases the striker. And so the geometry of this is changed so that it makes it much more smooth and you don't get that bump. It's the same amount of force all the way through travel, so it's really nice. I would recommend it for, you know, and if you don't feel comfortable taking down your pistol, have a gunsmith do it. As you can see, I don't have any problems with it, but we'll put this back together here, and I'll show you another trick for getting these pins in, because when I first got my first Glock, I took it to a Glock armorer and I watched this guy struggle to put my pistol back together, and I was kind of amused about it, and I realized that I could do it easier than he could. And the way I do this is I'll put this rear grip pin back in. There we go. Is the trick on this is you put this upper pin in first. Because what he was trying to do, and what amused me, was fight the spring on the slide stop, trying to get that pin over it. But if you put the pin in first, let me make sure that pin's good and even here. If you put that pin in first, and then put your slide stop in, it makes things go much more smoothly. So you get that pin, that spring under, and as you can see, we have a mostly clear path through here. So this is how you don't fight this spring. You start your pin, and you get everything lined up and started, and then you just give the slide stop a little bit of a wiggle. Make sure don't smack the camera. And this pin should drop right in. Another little wiggle here. And it pops in, and you don't have to waste a huge amount of time fighting it, getting everything back together. And as you can see how that drops in. And to put this striker spring in, you got to take the slide apart, which isn't too big of a deal if you know what you're doing. But like I said, if you don't, get someone who does to do it. You'll be a lot happier. But there's that ultimate trigger there with that surprise break at the end. So it's like I said, it's really nice. You don't have to pull the pistol down and down left trying to fight that bump if you're having that problem. Yeah, these are great improvements that don't affect the reliability of the gun whatsoever. And like I said, these guns will outshoot most shooters. So, you know, if you're having problems, like I said, don't make any modifications. It won't help you shoot. It's just a waste of money. So there you have it.